Now let's take a look at the final row of elements inside the text editor. So if I go into Edit Text and take a look at what we've got here, we have style as an option. I'd strongly recommend avoiding style. You'll find that it doesn't work reliably, and that when you do get it in, it's very hard to get it out. So for example, if I take this word grateful and highlight it in this particular style, large and brown, it looks appealing, it looks like you can do something useful. However, when you go and update it, it hasn't worked. And when we go back in and try and remove it, theoretically we should just be able to highlight the element and then click on the eraser that removes format inside the top. But when I click on that, it's not doing anything. I could try a bigger section. See, it doesn't work very well. So basically I would ignore that. Now, I can actually get rid of that, but in order to get rid of it, I have to know what I'm doing in terms of HTML. I have to go into the source and remove this thing here, which is a span tag. So for that reason, I would strongly recommend not using style. This next one, format, however, is worth knowing. If we click on Dino and Jones, you'll now see that it says here heading 3. Well, if I highlight that and change to heading 1, in this side we get this very, very big font heading. But if I update it, what we get here is slightly bigger than it was before in a different colour. Now, those kind of colours that we get in our website will be based upon the style sheet, will be matching whatever look and feel of the site is. And generally, it is better to make the main heading on the page, whatever the main bit of text is, have heading 1, and lesser bits of text have heading 2 and heading 3, and so forth. So it's a good idea to go with heading 1 if it's the main content of the page, as this one is. So let's go back into our editing mode. So we've now added a heading 1 value to this top section. Let's go down and find that text inside the table. Now, as you can see, you can't see here that this is in a different font. That's because it's all about the settings inside the style sheet. Now, in an ideal world, the style sheet would have defined that the font inside a table is the same as the font in the body, and that's the kind of thing that I will try and make sure that I do. But in this case it didn't work, and you can make it look the way you want by using the font element. Up in the main menu area there's this font element which allows you to choose a number of fonts. I would not do this casually. Don't go font happy and have fonts all over the place. It will look amateurish. But where you have a situation like this where the font is out of keeping with what you want, you can highlight the text that you want to be a particular font and then pick the font that you want. Well, actually Arial is fine. It's the size that was the problem. Let's make it X small. And what we should see now is that when we update this, and you'll only be able to find it whether it worked by previewing or updating, that now this looks much more like the surrounding stuff. Still slightly out. It may be that we needed to make it XX small, so let's go in and do that. We're going to highlight all of the text again, and maybe have a look and see if there's another similar font. Maybe it's Tahoma. Let's try that and see whether it was Tahoma. Let's just try XX small to see what it does. Update that. And yeah, I think that's still the wrong font, but you get the point. We can play around with different fonts. We can make it look the way we want in those terms. If you find that you want us to change the font of the whole thing, then it may well be that we've got the wrong style settings overall, and it would be better to get back to me or to the administrator to work on that rather than trying to do it on a page-by-page basis. Because if you start setting the font inside each individual page, when we come to change the look and feel of the website, we'll have to go into each individual page and change it. They're much better off if we make those kind of settings at a site-wide basis. Hard to do these videos when you're struggling to talk. Let's go and edit some more text. The only other things here, ones that you might want to use a little bit more often than perhaps these other ones, and that is the ability to change colour. So let's change the text colour here to red. So now we have a bit of, or I may have picked orange by mistake, red or orange. And we can also put highlighting over particular elements in the text, so we get this kind of background colour effect. And if I update that, you can see that those changes have been pushed forward into the text. So that's a guide to working with the text editor. I think what we'll turn to next is some of the other kind of modules that we can add to the page. So let's open up our control panel. Here's our list of modules, and in our next video we will look at how we could work with a links element, which I'm going to add to the left pane and insert at the top, and I'm going to give the title Diana Wynne-Jones links, and let's add that to the page. And in our next video we'll look at how we can add links to this to create a useful little panel with links that are relevant to the topic at hand.